It's Rita here, and I'm back with another video. So I know last week I talked about why God wants you to be married, and we said that it is very healthy, it's valid, it's okay for you to have this desire, even if it's a strong desire to be married. And a lot of times it's the God that gives us these desires anyway. And we talked about some reasons why God actually wants us to be married. But this week I want to talk about 3 ways you can tell whether or not you're making marriage an idol, because there is a fine line between that strong desire and then making something an idol out of it. Okay, and so I want to just start with the simple definition of what an idol is. And it's very simply, I put this definition on it based on all the definitions that I looked up, and I want to give you guys something simple. But very simply put, if you're making something an idol, you're making that thing or that person the object of your worship. And that's problematic because God, being the God of the entire universe, He should be the only object of our worship. And of course, we're not very conscious of it. We're not outright saying, oh, I worship you, I bow down to you. But through our actions, through the posture of our heart, through these things, we actually can easily make anything or any person an idol, and we can be worshiping it without even realizing it. So that's why I want to give you 3 benchmarks so that you can kind of measure yourself up against. And this can work for anything really, not just marriage or not just wanting a husband, so that you can tell whether or not you're making something, making an idol out of that thing or out of that person. And also the reason why this is important is because once you do get that person, or once you do get that marriage or whatever the desire is of your heart, if you have made that thing an idol, you'll now begin to expect that person to fulfill all of your needs, to lick every single wound, to make you happy in all areas. And the fact of the matter is that's just not going to happen. People make terrible gods. They're going to disappoint you, they're going to upset you sometimes, and it's ultimately not their responsibility to do these things anyway. So all of us were born with this innate desire, this missing piece, this missing key to us, and that's because it's an area, a place that's only supposed to be a void, that's only supposed to be filled by God Himself. And so we look to other things, other objects, other addictions in order to fill those voids unknowingly. But really what it is that we're looking for is God, and we can never truly be satisfied until we get to that place in Him. That's just a little side nugget as to why this is really important. So let's get into it. The first reason, and these are in no particular order, but the first way, the first way you can tell whether or not you're making marriage an idol is if you are more consumed with the idea of being married than you are with your relationship with God. So I know a lot of times we plan our wedding in our head, and we know what dress we're gonna wear, we're doing all these things, but we're constantly thinking about getting married and our wedding and our potential person, and we're writing out all these things we want in Him, but we're not putting that same energy into our relationship with the one who is supposed to be our all in all. And so that's the first way you can tell whether or not you're making this thing an idol. If you're spending most of your time, if it's consuming your thoughts, if it's overtaking you to the point where, hey, it's being a distraction to this other very important area of your life or any other important areas of your lives, then chances are you have made that into an idol in your life. So that's the first way. The second way you can tell whether you're making marriage an idol is if you are offended at God. And so a lot of times it's not very easy to tell this one. Sometimes we got to really check our hearts. But a lot of times we walk around in offense, we walk around bitter, we're upset with God because He has not given us something yet. And that's a very dangerous place to be, because what will happen, we'll find ourselves not praying to Him anymore. We'll find ourselves not able to get to that space and praise and worship where we can just be one with Him anymore. We'll find ourselves not studying the Word like we're supposed to, because on the inside we're really mad at Him because He has not given us what we wanted yet. And so if you're finding yourself in that space, then that's an adjustment that you want to quickly make, and that's a telltale sign that you have now made this thing into an idol, because it is affecting the way you view God and the way you believe Him for things, because He has not bought you this particular thing yet. So that's the second way. And then the third way you can tell whether you're making marriage an idol is if you're not able to be happy for other people in their season of love. So if they're getting in a relationship, if they have gotten engaged, if they're getting married, if you can't say to yourself and if you can't say congratulations, or if you can't really be happy for them, then that's a problem. I'll tell on myself in this one, and I'm going to just be completely transparent. My best friend, this is my best friend, y'all. I love her so much, but when she first got engaged, I had a hard time wrestling with that thing. Like, I was completely single, and I even had a talk with God, like, yo, like, we're both your daughters, you're our father, so if you do it for one guy, you got to do it for me too. And I was secretly just, I don't know a word to describe it. I don't know if it was jealousy, but I had a hard time grasping with the idea that she had found her person, but I had not found that person. So I couldn't be truly happy for her, but I wanted to be happy for her. That was the thing. And so what I did was I took it to God. He knows already, like, we can't be embarrassed by him. He knows everything. So in order for me to fix it, I took it to God. I let him know what I was fixing, and then what I was feeling. And then after that, it was completely done. I was able to support her, be completely happy for her. So if you can't sow into a marriage, if you can't write congratulations on Facebook or Instagram and truly mean it, then there's a problem. You cannot expect for God to bring you something that you cannot be happy about for another human being. Okay, so those are just 3 ways. If you think of any other way that you can tell whether you're making marriage or anything else an idol, feel free to comment. And also don't forget to subscribe and like this video and share it with someone, a woman who you feel that could benefit from it. All right, sharing is caring. See ya.